Coming to paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order E-Steam Cancel Vacation on Amazon.com today.
I got a chance to take a look at Static Season 1, Number 4. And this fourth issue is basically a setup for a CW television series because your Reginald Hudlin is putting the cart before the horse as related to these characters. And instead of him focusing and crafting a good comic book series to build a rogues gallery, instead what he does is he tries to copy CW's Black Lightning and tries to give us Black Heroes versus the Evil White Man. Now, this Black Heroes versus the Evil White Man thing that has been going on throughout all of the Milestone books is getting really tired. And I really am getting really tired of seeing every issue featuring your heroes of Milestone taking on an evil white man. Now, as somebody who bought all of the books from the 93 Milestone launch, I saw more diversity in the 93 series than I'm seeing in this 2021 second coming of Milestone. Because I can remember in the first 3 issues of Static, your Static not only took on Hot Streak, but he also then took on Tarmac, and then after that, it built up into him having a meeting with Holocaust. So there was a lot more going on in the 3 issues of Static in the 93 series, but this 2021 series, it practically drags and meanders because your Reginald Hudlin is so obsessed with trying to get some sort of television or film deal, and instead of him focusing on crafting really solid stories to build up your Virgil's world and build his rogues gallery, what he does is he focuses on this evil white man instead of trying to develop a solid world for his Earth M to be. Now, this 4th issue's cover continues to mislead readers, and it also shows how bad the editorial is at Milestone. Now, this looks like the editorial was already creating covers for their stories based on an outline and not going out here and crafting a story based on things. So we have Virgil in a costume he's not wearing in the issue, and that's not a good first impression on the reader, because in the 3rd issue, we see that your Virgil made a new costume with material he got from Kurt Metcalf, and he is now wearing that costume. But in this issue's cover, you have him in an outfit he does not wear, and on this cover, he's teaming up with his friends, and that is something completely out of character for Virgil to do, to put his friends in jeopardy. Now, guys like Richie Foley on Static Shock and Frida, they would sometimes come in, but he would try to keep them away from real danger. But this right here is completely out of character for him. And what is up with Dude's hand behind Virgil? I mean, Dude's hand is completely misproportioned here when you look at him on the left side, in the left side corner. I mean, his hand is completely out of alignment with his body, and this is just a sign of some absolutely terrible art. Not to mention Virgil's foot is a little bigger than the other one, a real serious problem as related to this cover. And then you have Richie. He looks like he's about to fall off his disc. And again, this is not something I believe Virgil would go out here and do. So we're already starting off on a bad foot with just the cover right here. And as the book opens up, instead of us getting a splash page with action, we've got the evil white man coming to the Hawkins door, because in the previous issue, your government or whatever agency was out here picking up bang babies, and now they're over at Virgil's door, and your Hot Streak has practically led them to him. Now, this whole thing with Hot Streak and Virgil has gotten to the point of ridiculousness, and it's looking like there's something wrong with your Hot Streak. Now, I know your Hot Streak has mental health problems, but this is just getting to the point where he's just practically stalking Virgil. And again, the whole thing with the evil white man, this is getting really tired at this point. And now they're coming to the door looking to go pick up Virgil. And your Hawkins' parents, they've gone out here and demanded credentials, and then they decide to slam the door in their face. Now, in the aftermath of these so-called government agents coming after Virgil, we have the family having another CW-style discussion. I'm not really a fan of your Virgil's parents knowing that he's static. The secret identity added to some intrigue to the character, and this really takes away from the character and makes it into another clone of Black Lightning, and I'm not a fan of this at all. Nor am I a fan of this effeminate hairstyle on Virgil at all. I mean, give this boy his locks back so he can look like a boy and not another female. Because in this panel right here, where he's got this earring and he's got this thing on his head, it's making him look real effeminate. So I'm not really a fan of this look on Virgil. Seriously, give him his Static Shock look with his locks, because this right here is making him look too feminine for my taste. Now, as things go on, we get the agents again outside the door, and what Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins do is decline to deal with these agents, and they tear up their card and send them on their way. But I'm really, again, getting tired of these evil white man and the evil white man after these milestone heroes. This is it's becoming very repetitive and redundant. And I find it to be an absolutely boring trope that has practically run itself into the ground. I mean, by the time we were in the 4th issue with the other milestone books, we already had your Hardware. He had already taken on about 2 or 3 villains. We had Icon, who had just taken on Payback and was on his way to taking on some other bad guys. So we had a lot more going on as related to the villains, and we were building a much more solid milestone world. But in this one, all we get is your Benedict Lord. We get your Hot Streak and the government. We get your Edwin Alva, and it's getting tedious at this point. And in the aftermath of getting confronted by these government people who have been abducting Bang Babies, what your Virgil does is he sits with his family, and they come up with a plan to go out here and try to find out what happened to the other Bang Babies. So after this, we have your Virgil coming up with this plan, and he's going into his stuff that he got from Kurt Metcalf. And this is another point that I have an issue with, because your Virgil was always very creative on his own, and I'm not a fan of the whole idea of Virgil getting stuff from Kurt Metcalf, because that feels so ripped off from the MCU, it's not even funny. So basically, what they do here is turn your Kurt Metcalf into Peter Parker from the MCU, where he gets stuff from Tony Stark to make his costume, and that is really derivative of Terry McGinnis and Batman Beyond. So you took away everything that was special and unique about Virgil, who was very creative on his own, made his own costume, and came up with his own techniques. And instead of him being creative on his own, he's got your Kurt Metcalf being a knockoff Tony Stark, and he's got this stuff from your Kurt Metcalf, and he's trying to figure out what to do with it. So he's got this kinetic metal Sam that he turns into different objects with his static energy. And that's very interesting, but it could have been done in a different fashion later on. But I would have wanted to see Static going out here and, again, solving problems on his own, the same way Spider-Man used to, but we don't get that at all. So we get him playing with this powder, and he uses his static electricity to turn it into things. And one of the things he turns it into is his static saucer. Now, that's something I'm not happy to see, because your Virgil created his own static saucer back in the comics by just welding some metal together. And I liked seeing that, because it showed how creative he could be on his own. And I'm not a fan of this panel because, again, we got the braids flying like a female all over again. And as we see him with playing with the sand, he then comes up with this costume that he made earlier, and he's putting it together, and they pay homage to his classic costume. Unfortunately, this isn't the classic character. No, this is the effeminized Virgil Hawkins, and then his sister comes in and gives him the trademark coat that he wore back in the 93 series. So we get a homage to the classic Static costume. Unfortunately, this Virgil is nothing like the Virgil we knew back in the day. Now, after he puts on the raincoat, he then goes out and meets his friends Darius and Richie and Frida, and he does something Virgil would never do, put those guys in jeopardy by going out here and talking about he's going to go on this mission to free the Bang Babies from the facility where they are being held. Now, they're all dressed up in costumes, and your Frida is wearing a jersey that pays homage to your 1993 milestone, and that's a nice touch, but the whole thing is this whole battle issue is just poorly executed, because here we have another battle between Virgil and Hot Streak as they're going to go out here and throw down as Virgil is looking to free the Bang Babies and that have been captured at the facility. So we get this showdown between more Virgil and more evil white cops, and then eventually a battle between Virgil and Hot Streak, where Virgil in his brand new costume is made to look like a sucker at the end of this issue. I mean, if you're going to debut a character in a brand new outfit, you want to show them looking strong. And instead of showing Virgil looking strong in his brand new costume, what we get is Hot Streak beating Virgil down once again. And while this happened in the first issue of Static, when he was in his first appearance in that first issue, and I think they were trying to make homage to that you don't do this when you have a character in a brand new costume. When you have a character in a brand new costume, you want to do what I did in Isis Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, or what they did with Wally West in Flash issue number 50. You want to make that character look strong and powerful so that people can look at that character and have a strong first impression of them. You don't want to have your character putting on a brand new outfit and then made to look like a clown in the last few pages of his book. And that's what they do here with your Hot Streak. And this is not a way to end a fourth issue of an extremely weak sauce series. And this is the kind of thing that leads to people walking away from the book, because they look at the book and they see the character not really growing, not really progressing, and they're looking at the story and seeing it meandering and going absolutely nowhere. Because when I look at this whole story, all I'm getting is Virgil versus Hot Streak again and again. I mean, we've seen this in 3 straight issues, but in 93, your Virgil practically beat Hot Streak in 2 issues, called it a day, and it was moving on to Tarmac and then Holocaust, and the series had progressed. But this series feels like, again, it's meandering because Hudlin wants to turn it into a TV series, and instead of him focusing on trying to build story arcs around 3 issues, he's focusing on trying to make episodes for an eventual Static series, and that's sucking the life and the energy out of this comic and making it a complete mess that most readers would just get tired of. And again, I am getting really tired of your milestone heroes versus the evil white man versus the evil government versus evil white people. I mean, this is getting to the point where where I look at it and goes, these stories have no energy, they have no flow, and it's the same thing all the time. And I talked about this in a previous video about how repetitive these evil white man stories get. And this one is where if I were out here and I had to thinking about picking up this series, this is where I would be getting off the train, because this whole book is going nowhere really fast. And yes, you put Virgil in a brand new costume, but you're getting the same old evil white man stories, and these evil white man stories are really getting old at this point, because it's just I want to see these series move forward, and I want to see a further building of this world. And I'm not seeing a further building of this world. I'm just seeing Milestone go around in circles, and as Milestone goes around in circles, it's going to get crushed in today's competitive black comic book world, where companies like Concrete Comics are doing a lot more and telling far more compelling stories. And then you have other creators out here like Greg Burnham with his Search for Siddiqa and Tuskegee Heirs, creating far more compelling characters. And I look at today's landscape, and this Milestone 2.0, it just cannot compete compared to any of these newer creators out here who are putting together fantastic books and putting together books that can move a story far faster forward than what I've seen in the last 4 issues of this Milestone relaunch on these 3 characters. And I see this ending badly for your Milestone, the same way it ended badly for Vertigo, because as they focused on identity politics and focus on all of this social justice, I see it sucking the life out of your Milestone comics and practically leading it to it collapsing, because this kind of storytelling is not going to save this company, and it's not going to make these characters appear fresh for a new generation of readers. That's how bad the writing is in this comic, and I'm getting really tired of Vita Ayala's poor writing of Static. I'm getting really tired of Reginald Hudlin's poor writing on Icon, and the writer of Hardware. They have no story to tell with these characters, and they keep telling the same story over and over again. And it's getting to be a point where I'm just about to ready to drop this comic because it's just that bad. And I mean, that everything about this book is just absolutely terrible. And I just can't take any more of this stuff. I mean, this is absolute trash, and it's an absolute disappointment for a long-term Milestone fan like myself. This Static book has no energy, and this 4th issue is where I would, it's just practically getting to the point where I'm getting near the last straw with this book. Now, if you want to pick up one of my comics on the SJS Direct imprint, my first comic, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that comic on Kindle for 99 cents. And if you want to check out my upcoming comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, it's coming to Kickstarter soon. And until then, you can pick up the books featuring John Haynes, like The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, the John Haynes series books, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, John Haynes, Dark Succubus, John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, and John Haynes, Taking Care of Business on Amazon.com in paperback. And you can also get the ISIS series stories featuring John Haynes, such as ISIS Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, ISIS Bride of Dracula, ISIS Escape from Transylvania, and ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. You can also find those on paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. And if you want to see me do more comic review videos, you can donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April.